Hey, Andrew, you talked last week or so about everybody in the room having something to prove. What specifically for you do you feel that is going into next season?
Um, I would say that probably proving that I'm a top six player. I think that um that's kind of my defensive game has kind of always been there. Penalty kill. I feel like that's been real consistent throughout my whole career. And then I think took some offensive strides over the last few years. Didn't score as many goals this year as I would have liked, but produced pretty well 5 on 5 and had a career year assist wise. So um, I think it's continuing to prove that I belong in a top six for a team that can win. And felt like my time in New York kind of solidified that. But as soon as you get comfortable, it's or complacent, I guess, is when someone's coming for your job. So I think for me, it's proven that I can play in every situation, be relied upon to play, 18, 20 minutes a night and uh, be a top six player on a winning team.
I know injuries are part of the season, and you guys had a lot, and so lines got switched around. But you seem really comfortable playing with Michael Rasmussen there for a while. Do you feel like you guys in that window really clicked?
Yeah, I think we had some success early on, and I was able to kind of snowball off that. Um, I think that especially in the beginning of the season for me, I don't think that I was playing my best. I think that I got very pass happy, kind of relating to the injury, not really being able to drive and skate with the puck as well as I would have liked. And I think having Rass's forechecking ability really um, helped kind of get pucks back, and we produced really well. And I think that that was kind of right around the time where I started to feel better. And yeah, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to the opportunity of kind of him being back healthy with our team, whether it's with me or somebody else. I think he was obviously a huge piece that you kind of lose him, and then you lose Bert and Phil kind of in a week or two span there. Definitely hurt our lineup quite a bit. So we're looking forward to having Ras for a full year, and think that we can, if we end up playing together, we'll, get a tough matchup every night and probably play against the other team's top line. And I think we'd welcome that challenge.
Lastly, just you brought up yourselves the surgery last season. You're fine going into this off season, right? And should benefit from being able to come to camp fully, having trained.
Yeah, exactly. I think I decided not to go to world championships for that reason, was to, take a little time, kind of let the body heal up. It feels like it's kind of been, even after last season, after the playoffs, it was kind of right into rehab mode and try and get healthy. So kind of let the body decompress a little bit, and then we got a a decent amount of time before we go to Traverse City in September. So that's kind of the whole goal this summer, is to kind of get that the body 100% my power and everything, and get a little bit more scoring confidence back.
Thank you.
Ansar Khan.
Yeah, hi Andrew. You talked about goal scoring. I know that's not your main focus, but is that something that you feel you have more in you next year? Whether that's from shooting more or just
Yeah, no, for sure. I think I mean, 2 years ago I scored 27 goals in regular season and postseason play. Um, so 9 this year. To me, it was a little bit of a letdown. Like I said, I think it was a little bit of a factor of uh the injury, and like I got pass happy, and I think that's on me first and foremost. And hopefully, over the course of this summer, I I've worked on that a lot. I've always focused on that in my off season, especially. I think I have certain training and certain things that help me with that, and I'll be able to do those things at 100% this summer. So that's a uh main focus for me, and hopefully we get a little bit you know deeper offensively as a team, and we can kind of produce as a team a little bit more, and find some chemistry with some line mates, and go from there. So I mean, it's a huge focus for me this offseason for sure.
You were one of three to play all 82 games. How much pride do you take in that, especially coming into the season off of surgery, being able to play every game?
Yeah, a lot, to be honest with you. And I think, the one guy was the old guy and the other guy is the animal that blocks every shot and hits everybody. So we each kind of had each had a little bit of a story behind the full 82. And I mean, I took a lot of pride in that. I was, battling through some stuff and, uh, felt like it was definitely not easy. And it was only the second time in my career I've been able to do it. So, I mean, anytime anybody can play all 82, it's impressive. So took a lot of pride in that.
Thanks, Andrew.
Max Boltman.
Hey, Andrew, from the beginning of the year, obviously not having been here last year, but playing against them and from what you saw in camp, like where were the biggest areas of growth you saw from first day of camp to now?
I would say, I mean, special teams for sure. I think especially like halfway through, we kind of changed the PK just a little. And I thought that we had a pretty strong second half with our PK. And I think analytically we're really good. And then power play, I think that first unit really got solidified. And I think that they they produced pretty much every power play goal we had this year. So the second unit, we need to solidify ourselves a little bit more, get a little bit more consistency in the units and kind of find what makes us tick a little bit. I felt like we had almost too much going on with the second unit when, felt like there was a change every game for the first 40 and then confidence gets a little down. And so I think it's important for us to establish that right from the get-go next year. And then I think just mentality, like I think towards, once we got on that 7-game win streak right before the trade deadline, I think the narrative kind of shifted in everyone's head of like, okay, we can walk into games expecting to win and not just kind of hoping to win. And I think that kind of faltered towards the end a little bit, based on situation. We're out of the playoffs. Obviously it wasn't our full team, in every game, but at the same time, I think that feeling that everyone felt during that 7-game win streak is something that can be translated moving forward. And I think there's an expectation walking into the room next year that I think everyone just kind of feels a little bit more, it's heightened. It's a little bit more, I don't even want to say intense, but it's everyone's going to be a little bit more invested.
What is the value, I guess, of that? Because as you guys go into next year, I'm sure that's where you want to start from.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't think you can put a value on it. I think it's the most important thing is the mental and physical investment in the team right from the get-go. And I don't think we're going to be the Boston Bruins next year and set NHL records, but I think if we have that and understanding, and this year we had so many new faces that it was kind of like we were kind of feeling each other out and incorporating so many new things right from the get-go. So it was that kind of I don't want to say it got lost, but there was other things to focus on. And next year it's we're walking in, we know the staff, we know obviously there's going to be some turnover, but hopefully that's a little bit more seamless, like the leadership group's a little bit more solidified than maybe walking out of this room a year ago for this team. So should be easier to incorporate new faces, and you walk on the ice, what drills you're doing, what our PK, what our power play is, what our neutral zone is. It's getting right to work instead of kind of feeling each other out. And I think that investment right from the beginning is going to be huge for our team.
Thanks.
Bob Duff.
Yeah, Andrew, obviously last year you had your choice to go where you wanted. You're an unrestricted free agent. I guess, first of all, what at that point made you feel this was the best choice for you? And now that you've been here for a year, where do you think this team's at and going forward?
I think there's a lot of things that go into free agency for sure. And I think, it's especially last year, there's kind of 3 centers that were kind of focused on between me, Stromer, and Trocheck. And it's a little bit of a guessing game, but Detroit was always somewhere where I felt like I would want to come back to, and even throughout, years before, and just ended up working out that way that, once, it kind of got to the nitty gritty, that Steve, showed a real interest, and it was obviously reciprocated. And I felt like I could help this team just be a little bit more dependable, and help in, every situation, like I said, power play, penalty kill, 5-on-5, center, wing, kind of whatever it is, leadership. So I feel like I was able to touch every aspect of that. I feel like I have even more to give, specifically 5-on-5, scoring, and power play. And I think, as that confidence grows, I'll be able to touch every other aspect just a little bit more. And from where our team is, I think we're really heading in the right direction. I really like the core that's been solidified. I think you saw a couple, 3 really big re-signings throughout the season that give us just a little bit more of that group that's going to be here moving forward. And I think everyone's really excited about that. And then it'll just be, adding in, a few new faces to hopefully freshen up the group, add a little bit more offense, and get us going from there. So I think everyone's really excited about the start of next year. And I think everyone felt steps this year, maybe not as many as we would have hoped, but I think it's more just the surrounding atmosphere and the culture that we felt like took a step forward. And obviously there was improved play on the ice, just in terms of, points overall, and, specific areas. But I think the next step is right there for us.
And this is kind of a more broader question, but there's so much specialization in youth sports now. You were someone who played, 2 different sports at a high level, quite a long way into your life. I guess, first of all, how do you think that helped you to not, have focused all your attention on one sport right through your growing years? And are there elements that you take from football that you think have helped make you a better hockey player?
Yeah. And I would say that, I don't think necessarily going till, 17, 18, senior year of high school is realistic for everyone to not specialize. But, it's playing tennis and soccer and baseball all growing up. I think if you choose what sport you're playing at 8 or 9 or 10 years old, then you're kind of setting yourself up to fail a little bit. Like, I had a soccer coach tell me if I wanted to be on the team, I had to quit hockey and baseball. And I was 10 years old, and I was like, I'm probably not going to do that. So I think it's really, really important to play every sport. I think not only, you're using different muscle groups, it's hand-eye coordination with, baseball, for example, how fast the play can move in football, reading plays. I think it's obviously important for your physical attributes, but at the same time, I think, like, mentally, being around different people, if you're just around like the same 20 hockey guys every single day of growing up, you're going to turn into, someone who thinks they live in a locker room, like, at all times. And I think, playing football was really important for me. I got to be with people that are, maybe have different backgrounds than me, and being a captain of that team, made me understand, what makes people tick a little bit more than just, the normal hockey, crew. So I think that's, just as important as the physical side of the sport, or just the mental burnout side.
Thank you.
Jonathan Mills.
Yeah, Andrew, your first full season under Derek Lalonde. Can you just talk about what he was like playing for him as a coach, and then kind of just off the ice, how his personality maybe helped you guys navigate through some turbulent times throughout the season?
Yeah, I think that's another feeling out process, especially, no training camp. You're kind of wondering, like, what's the bench going to be like? How is it going to be run? But I think, we started to kind of get each other, especially towards the end, and kind of finding that rhythm on the bench, and understanding, what he's looking for, how he's going to utilize me, how he's going to utilize other lines, what his thought process is. So I think as the year went along, we got a lot more comfortable on the bench and how he was running things, and thought he did a good job, especially his messaging every meeting this year was pretty spot on. I don't think he ever missed the mark by any means. And I felt like his positivity, I think he's got a good staff around him that, balances him out, but he's definitely a very positive voice, and was able to kind of help instill some confidence in us when maybe we didn't have as much as we needed to that night or whatnot. So I felt like I was really happy with how we progressed throughout the year. And I think that another thing that he's probably way more comfortable now than he was at the beginning of the year too. So I think that's another thing where you're kind of starting, not from a standstill next year, you're kind of hitting the ground running.
Thank you.
Art Regner.
Hi, Andrew. I'm kind of curious. We all know after Steve spoke about where he believes the team is in the rebuild. And I know that you played with them this year, but guys like Lucas Raymond, Jonathan Berggren, Simon Edmondson, although it was only a 9-game audition, can you kind of assess what you think of them as players, and where do you think, they are as far as their maturation process as an NHL player?
Yeah, I think, I guess start with Mo. He was as advertised, if not more. I think, blocking shots, hitting guys, playing the same way night in, night out, intensity. And then, you see the offensive instincts are there, and that's only just going to develop over time. So, was really impressed by him. Razor, same thing. I think that, the injury kind of came at a bad time. I felt like he was really starting to find his game and find his rhythm. And, a very good player that has a ton of talent and is going to be, a solidified top 6 player for a long time. And I think that it was important for, like guys like Perron to come in and, give him a little bit of competition for, playing with Larks and playing on that first line, and, not necessarily just kind of, I don't want to say giving, because he's went 4th overall. He's a great player. He's earned it, but to just kind of, keep that competitive, that healthy competition within the lineup going. So I think, I feel like the step from year 1 to year 2 isn't as big as the leap from year 2 to year 3. So I think he's going to Worlds, so have a blast back in Sweden, and then look forward to him taking another huge step next year. He's gonna be a great player. And then Bergie and Edmondson, played really well at times for us, and just it's all about consistency at that age. So hopefully they find a way to kind of solidify themselves as an NHL player next season. We'll see what the summer brings. I'm sure Steve's, probably looking at some competition, and not, like I said with Lucas, like great player, earned everything he's gotten, but like he wants to make sure it's earned. So I don't want to speak for anybody else, I guess, at this time, but Bergie and Simon both did a lot of good things, and they'll be a huge part of our future, and it's just a matter of when that is.
Did you find yourself talking maybe to Veleno a little bit more because he was learning the center position, in the NHL, his first full season? And I know you guys sit close to one another, and obviously you're a center too.
Yeah. I thought Joe took massive steps this year. I think he was a guy that maybe I was a little hard on to be in the beginning, because you see the talent, you see his skating ability, you see his frame, you see his skill level. Like it's all there. It's just kind of a matter of, like what Simon and Bergie need to do is kind of take that next step and do it every night and be consistent with it, and in the battles, win the battles. And even it's not about scoring for him. It's like if he's noticed every shift skating, being physical, winning faceoffs, doing all the little things right, like the scoring and all the skill parts, those will come out. So Joe and I had a lot of talks this year, and I felt like he's probably one of my closest friends on the team. He was dialed in at the end of the year, and we were really happy with his progress. So I can't wait to see what the future holds for him too.
And my final question, do you now morph into an NHL fan? Are you going to be watching the playoffs, or tuned into the draft lottery and watching what the Red Wings do, or do you cool out and, I don't know, hang out in the Arb in Ann Arbor or something?
I mean, I'll watch some of the games probably more this week. Probably decompress for a little bit after that. And then, yeah, I mean, I'll definitely be paying attention to things we do. That's for sure. And kind of, it'll be an exciting offseason, I'm sure.
Great. Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Kevin Allen.
Hi, Andrew. If you'd watched the Red Wings play almost every game, I think everyone would agree that they improved in so many different areas, special teams, harder to play against, giving up dangerous scoring chances. But even with all that improvement, you only moved up incrementally. And I wonder if it's frustrating for you guys to know that, hey, we've shown improvement, we've really worked out, but the league's so tough that it's kind of hard to, climb.
I mean, I don't think that we're frustrated necessarily. I mean, I think that there was times during the year where, a loss would be frustrating, or, personal play or whatever it is. Like, there's definitely a lot of frustrating moments throughout the year. There is, no matter how good you are. I don't think we're frustrated with where we ended up in the standings. I think that, I mean, I also, we lost, I said Ras, Bert, and Phil all in 2 weeks. And if you added Fabs too, that's, I mean, a while. We lost our starting goalie for a period of time. I think that our team is in a good place. And I think that we learned a lot about ourselves over the last stretch of games. I mean, I think we improved 6 points over the year before, but I mean, I think that 6 points feels a lot bigger than just 6 points. And I think that we'll resort to that feeling and that mood around the rink and the culture, and way more than just looking at the 6 points. I mean, I think the year before, I remember pre-scouting a game. I think I was playing in New York and we were playing against Detroit in the game before they lost to Pittsburgh, like 10-2. And like, I mean, our last 4 or 5 games were not good, but I don't think we had nights like that. So I think everyone felt the improvement. I think everyone knows that there's another step coming, and I don't think we're worried about how many points we jumped in the standings. If you're not in the playoffs, you might as well finish dead last. So that's not really what we were about, though. We were trying to build a culture, build a standard, and I think we've done a good job of that. And I think we got, places we can go with where we're at right now.
I mean, you have circled around a little bit about where you'd like to see improvement, but if there's one thing that you think could make the biggest difference for this team next season, what would it be?
I don't wear number 19 for the Red Wings, or I didn't wear number 19 for the Red Wings. So I'll leave that decision up to him.
All right. Thank you.
Last question, Ted Colfin.
That was probably a good move right there, Andrew. That's a good answer. Hey, the trade deadline, how much did that sting you guys mentally? I mean, when you look at the standings from there on in, I mean, obviously it probably affected in a lot of different ways, but how much did that have an effect on you guys, you think?
I don't know. I think it probably changes for each guy. I think, to be honest, I did not anticipate us keeping Bert with where we were at. The Phil trade might have been a little bit more surprising just because he was restricted, I guess, and we still had years on his contract. And but I wasn't necessarily surprised by that one either. So I think when you've gone through the trade deadline before, you've gone through these types of situations time after time after time, I think you start to understand a little bit about what it takes to be in, what it takes to be a buyer, what it takes to be a seller. And so I wasn't necessarily surprised, but I think for the guys that have been here, I can really understand how this had been the best chance in a little while. And, obviously big parts of our team, and we had won 7 in a row kind of leading into that week. So I think there was some belief that, we could do it. And I definitely had that belief too, that we would have had a real chance of making the playoffs if if we hadn't done what we had did. But at the same time, I was not surprised by anything we did. And looking back here, kind of, have full faith in where we're headed.
Those 2 Ottawa games, I mean, when you look at them now, I mean, I don't know. I mean, do you think it was just too big of a moment for some of these guys still at that point? Or when you think about it, I mean, what do you think happened in those 2 games? Or
I think that we were playing a certain game that obviously won us 7 games in a row. And then we played Tampa and outplayed them big time and ended up losing the game. And then we kind of went in there and we were a little bit ripe, I guess, for a game like that. And Ottawa played it like it was game 1 of the first round that you're going to see tonight, where they're maybe running around a little bit, finishing hits, maybe a little late, not necessarily late enough to get a call though. And they were living right on the edge. And I think that they almost got rewarded for living on the edge with a couple of ticky-tack calls. And then we were kind of shell shocked after that. I think they went up 2 or 3-0 and we were just like, whoa, like what's going on here? And I think from there it was kind of tough to recover. So I think it was a disappointing 2 days. I think looking back on it, it was, a disappointing 2 days over 82 games where, if that had happened early in the season, it would have kind of just been swept under the rug a little bit more. But I think we'll learn from that experience for sure. And I'm looking forward to the next time we're in that position to, like I said, learn from how those 2 games went, and hopefully, come out the other side feeling a little bit better about ourselves than we did at that time.
even with those 2 losses, you still felt you guys are still in the playoff chase at that point, right? I mean, you guys were right there still, basically.
Yeah, we were right there for sure. But I mean, like I said, I don't wear 19, or I didn't wear 19, so I don't make those calls. But looking back on it from where we are right now, I have full faith that what he did was right for the organization and right for us moving forward.
Sounds good. Thanks for this.
All right, those were all the
Thanks, guys.
questions we had. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Andrew,